Hi, welcome back to Siblings A&J Gardening. I'm bringing you along with me this evening. I've had a sweet tooth. I had some bananas that were super ripe, so I'm gonna make a quick banana bread. It's a really simple recipe. It's 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. You sift all that, and it's 2 1/4 cup of sugar. I use brown sugar. The recipe calls for white sugar, but I like brown sugar. But that's 2 1/4 cups of sugar, 3 eggs, 2 cups of bananas. I probably have a good 3 cups of bananas. I always add extra banana because I like bananas. A cup of oil, any type of oil you want to use. I'm just using vegetable, or no, mine is canola oil. And a cup of nuts. That's optional. And 3 teaspoons of vanilla. In this dish already, I have my 2 1/4 cups of brown sugar. I have my 3 teaspoons of vanilla, and I have 1 egg in here already. I'm going to go ahead and beat that. Oh, and you're going to preheat your oven to 325, and you just use 2 loaf pans to just regular loaf pans. I've buttered mine, and you're going to cook this for 40 to 60 minutes depending on your oven. But I'm going to go ahead and start mixing this up, and I will get back with you guys in a minute. Okay, I've already mixed in the eggs with the brown sugar. Also have the vanilla already added in there, and I just added the oil, so I'm gonna mix that a little more, and then I'm gonna go ahead and mix in my bananas. This recipe is really easy, and it's optional. Like I said, if you want to use nuts, I always put nuts. I'm gonna go ahead and dump all of the bananas in there and mix that up. Too much. I remember my grandmother said the key to a good recipe is creaming that butter and sugar. You want to cream it and cream it and cream it. Well, I don't have the patience. Not all the time for that. But I've got this incorporated pretty well. So from there, you're going to start adding your flour. And I've already sifted this with all the ingredients. And I'm just going to put probably 2 cups in at a time. And you can mix this by hand if you like. I just prefer to use the mixer. And this is a really quick recipe too. The zucchini bread takes a little longer because you have to shred the zucchini. But the banana recipe I find is really easy, especially when the bananas are really ripe. And I learned this from watching Paula Deen. Just go ahead and smash up the bananas while they're still in their casing. And then that way you don't have to worry about mashing them in a separate bowl. So that's what I do. I just mash them and then just dump them. It's really easy. But once I get this all mixed in, then I just stir in my nuts and I'm done. And like I said, it's 2 loaf pans at 325 for 40 to 60 minutes, just depending on your oven. And everybody's oven's different, so you just want to check it and put a toothpick in. If the toothpick comes out clear with no batter sticking to it, then your bread is done. And then you want to let it rest. Sometimes I can wait, sometimes I can't. And I don't think I'm going to be able to wait tonight. I like mine with milk, with a glass of milk, and sometimes with a cup of coffee. I'll probably have a piece of this tomorrow before I go to church. to make sure I have that flour pretty well mixed in there. And I have read you don't want to mix breads like this too long because they will get doughy, but I've never had a problem with my bread tasting doughy. And then, like I said, it calls for 1 cup of nuts. I always put 2. I always go a little extra because I love nuts. Try to get all the excess batter off of this. And give me a spoon. And then I'm just gonna, I always put the nuts in a freezer bag and just hit them with the spoon to kind of chop them up. And then I'm just gonna stir my nuts in. And you can use any kind of nuts. These are, what are these? These are walnuts. And then I'm just gonna divide the batter up into the loaf pans and, like I said, cook it for 40 to 60 minutes. I'm gonna run through the recipe real quickly with you again. It's 3 cups of flour, a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of baking powder. And you sift that, and then you're gonna use 2 1/4 cups of brown sugar, 3 teaspoons of vanilla, 3 eggs, and I believe that's it. Yeah. And then you mix everything. Preheat your oven at 325, and nuts are optional if you like nuts. Oh, forgot the main ingredients. Bananas. 2 cups of bananas. I typically use 3 cups of bananas, but that's just because I like bananas. But I hope you enjoy this recipe, and when it's done, I'll let you see what it looks like. And the cup that I use to, oh, forgot the oil, and 1 cup of oil, any type of oil. I typically use vegetable or canola, and tonight I use canola. But the cup that I use to measure the oil with, I save it, and I use it also to divide my mixture as I'm putting it in the dish, because it still has the oil and not much of the batter will stick inside the cup. So that's just a quick and easy tip. I hope you enjoy. Leave me a comment if you like the recipe. Be blessed. Siblings A&J Gardening. Thank you so much for tuning into our channel. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and sharing. Okay, the bread has cooled. I'm going to cut the cake pan bread, and I'm going to save the loaf to give to my uncle. I had extra nuts, so I decided to top the bread with the nuts. It kind of broke apart, but that's okay. Give it a taste. Still nice and warm. Really good. Thank you so much for viewing our channel. Try this recipe. It's really quick and easy, and I'm sure you'll like it. And try it with different, use apples. Next time I make it, I'm going to make apple bread.